Hello and welcome to TVB News. There was a fatal traffic accident involving a tram today. 3 pedestrians were injured and 1 was killed after being hit by a tram in Kennedy Town. Sources say the 4 people were jaywalking. Mimo Singhai reports.
After the accident, firefighters, police and paramedics were deployed to the scene. Bloodstains could be seen on the ground near the tram tracks. The accident happened at around 10 a.m. A tram was heading to Happy Valley from Kennedy Town before it struck 4 people near Sichuan Street. A 66-year-old elderly man and his 3-year-old granddaughter were trapped underneath the tram, while a domestic helper and another 6-year-old grandchild suffered multiple injuries. The 3-year-old was later pronounced dead at Queen Mary Hospital. Sources say the 4 were jaywalking. Hong Kong Tramways said the tram was operating normally when the accident took place. The tram driver, who has a good record during his 4 years and 9 months' time working at the company, has been suspended from duties. News 9, TVB News.
The MTR Corporation announced net profit for the first half of this year of $6 billion, up 44.7% compared to the same period in 2023. The railway company also said total local patronage exceeded 950 million people, still below pre-pandemic levels. Mimo Singhai again.
MTR announced its interim results this afternoon. While the company said total local patronage exceeded 950 million in the first half of this year, the number has still not returned to pre-pandemic levels. Among the 950 million passengers using the trains, 787.5 million came from the domestic service, while 46.5 million were on cross-boundary routes. MTR also said property development profit was $1.74 billion. As of June 30th, MTR had 14 residential property development projects in progress, which will provide roughly 12,000 units to the housing market over the next few years. The government earlier said an MTR station would be built in Pak Shek Kok, while 10,000 housing units will be developed in a nearby area. MTR confirmed that they have been in discussion with authorities regarding the matter.
We actually responded to government's request to support to study the land use potential around the Pak Shek Kok area. That study includes the feasibility of the possibility of building a new station along the East Rail Line.
MTR also said it will take a flexible approach to property market sentiment.
We are actively studying our projects and we're looking at our tender strategy, and subject to market conditions, we shall continue to orderly tender out our land parcels in order to meet with the demands of Hong Kong.
News 9, TVB News.
Today is China's National Ecology Day. To celebrate the occasion, Hong Kong and Shenzhen have signed an agreement to bolster cooperation on the ecological corridor between Robin's Nest and Wutong Mountain. Danny Cho has more.
In February, Hong Kong and Shenzhen established a joint working group and signed agreements on enhancing their green collaboration, including pollution management and ecological conservation. During the launch ceremony for National Ecology Day, the joint working group sealed a new pact to develop a cooperation framework for the Wutong Mountain Robin's Nest ecological corridor. Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration Che Qing said high-level exchanges between Hong Kong and Shenzhen will elevate their ecological ties and biodiversity cooperation. Hong Kong now boasts 25 country parks as well as 22 special areas, and more than 40% of its total land area has been protected. The government will organize guided tours and workshops related to ecology in the coming 2 weeks and renew its biodiversity policies and measures. Check noted that the authorities are also going through legal procedures for the North Lantau Marine Park. As the city's 8th and largest marine park, it will strengthen marine wildlife protection and is expected to be established in November. Meanwhile, the government is actively setting up the Semposhu Wetland Conservation Park in the northern metropolis, which would be 5 times larger than the current wetland park. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Some groups in Hong Kong paid floral tributes to the cenotaph in Central to commemorate the martyrs in the Second World War. Today, members of the Action Committee of Defending the Diaoyu Islands jointly visited the monument dedicated to the victims of the war. They laid flowers and had a moment of silence. The group has urged the Japanese government to issue sincere apologies to China for its wartime atrocities. The Japanese military invaded Hong Kong in 1941, and its occupation continued for 44 months until Emperor Showa declared Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945. At least 3 Japanese cabinet ministers today visited the Yasukuni Shrine in Tokyo, which is dedicated in part to war criminals from World War II. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida sent a ritual offering. This as Japan marked the 79th anniversary of its defeat in the war. Danny Zhou has the story.
About 4,000 people, including Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako, attended a national memorial service held at the Nippon Budokan Hall. They mourned the 3.1 million people who died in World War II and renewed their oath against the war. The emperor said in a speech that he hoped the ravages of war will never again be repeated. Prime Minister Kishida noted the peace and prosperity that Japan enjoys today was built upon the suffering of the war dead. He also pledged utmost efforts to resolve various challenges facing the world while focusing on human dignity. On the same day, Economic Security Minister Sanai Takaichi, Defense Minister Minoru Kihara, Economic Revitalization Minister Yoshitaka Shindo, as well as 70 cross-party lawmakers paid visits to the controversial Yasukuni Shrine. Kishida did not visit in person, but sent offerings instead. Past visits to the shrine by Japanese politicians have sparked strong criticisms from China and South Korea, as the Yasukuni Shrine honored 14 Class A war criminals from World War II and is regarded as a symbol of militarism. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
International mediators were set to hold a new round of talks today aimed at halting the Israel-Hamas war and securing the release of scores of hostages. But Hamas is reportedly not participating. With Iran threatening to attack Israel, a hostage deal is seen as the best hope of preventing the Gaza conflict from spreading into a larger regional war. Representatives from the United States, Qatar, and Egypt were expected to meet with an Israeli delegation in Doha as the Palestinian death toll from the 10-month-old war reaches 40,000. Hamas accused Israel of adding new demands to a proposal that already had the U.S. and international support. Israel is bracing for a response from Iran after the assassination in Tehran on July 31st of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh. Welcome back to TVB News. Thailand's governing coalition said today it would nominate the daughter of a former prime minister, 37-year-old Paetongtarn Shinawatra, as candidate for prime minister ahead of a parliamentary vote, according to media reports. Multiple Thai media reports had earlier said that the Puthai party would nominate 75-year-old Chai Kasem Nitisiri as its preferred candidate. However, Paetongtarn, the daughter of billionaire political heavyweight Thaksin, is leader of Puthai, the biggest party in the caretaker government. She will be nominated for the top job at Friday's special session of Parliament to choose a new premier following the Constitutional Court's dismissal of Sreta Thavisin. It comes after Sreta Thavisin was dismissed by the Constitutional Court on Wednesday because he had previously appointed someone who had served jail time to his cabinet. Russia has declared a federal-level state of emergency in the Belgrad region as Ukraine's incursion continues into the bordering Kursk region. Ukrainian forces pushed on with their cross-border advance into Kursk for a second week on Wednesday, taking more ground and more Russian prisoners along the way. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky broke his silence and spelled out Kyiv's daily advances to his war-weary public. Tracy Furness has more.
Assault troops are seen in the Ukrainian border region of Sumy heading to Kursk on Wednesday. This as Ukrainian troops advance further into the Russian region, taking 100 soldiers prisoner, according to the commander of the Ukrainian military. Aerial bombs are seen on the ground and various anti-tank mines. A Russian rocket strikes a school in Sumy Wednesday after Ukraine launched its incursion into Russia. 2 brothers were killed. In the Russian border town of Sudja, burnt-out Russian military vehicles strewn along the roadside, just 30 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. Streets are deserted. People are taking shelter in this basement as Ukrainian soldiers bring them water, canned food, cookies and dried fruits. This local man thanks Ukrainian soldiers for not abandoning them. Outside, a Ukrainian television correspondent captured the moment when Ukrainian soldiers pulled down a Russian flag. Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes, they shout. Ukrainian soldiers have continued their push into Russia's Kursk region for a second week, taking more ground and prisoners. Belgrad and Kursk have already evacuated 132,000 people. Ukraine military destroyed a jet bomber while launching what officials said was a massive attack on Russian military airfields. In his nightly address Wednesday, President Zelensky praised his military for its success in the airstrikes on the airfields. He said Ukraine is reaching its strategic goal in its offensive in the Kursk region. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
The World Health Organization's Director General has determined that the upsurge of monkeypox in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC, and a growing number of countries in Africa constitutes a public health emergency of international concern.
Mpox has been reported in the Democratic Republic of the Congo for more than a decade, and the number of cases reported each year has increased steadily over that period. Last year, reported cases increased significantly, and already the number of cases reported so far this year has exceeded last year's total, with more than 14,000 cases and 524 deaths.
Mpox has been reported in 4 countries neighboring the DRC, Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda, that have not reported Mpox before. 2 vaccines are currently available and recommended by the WHO. The WHO's Director General triggered the process for emergency use, listing 4 Mpox vaccines, which will accelerate vaccine access for lower-income countries. It also enables partners, including UNICEF, to procure vaccines for distribution. Locally, a 41-year-old woman was arrested for animal cruelty after a dead cat and 32 dogs and cats were found in her rented public housing apartment in Taipo. Mimo Singai reports.
Sichuan House in Taipo was the building where the incident happened. Staff from the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals took the dogs and cats away for a health inspection. At 12:30 a.m., police received reports from residents of the building about a foul smell of animal feces from a flat. Sources say firefighters broke into the relevant unit after no one answered the door. Authorities discovered 32 cats and 1 dog, as well as a dead cat, inside the unit. Police then arrested the 41-year-old female owner for animal cruelty. Wu Chek-him, a Taipo district councillor, said the woman used to run a pet shop, but the business might have got affected and closed down during the pandemic. He said since then more animals appeared in that unit. Wu also said the building management team and the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department had tried to contact the woman regarding the animals in her flat, but she was often not there. News 9, TVB News.
The Hong Kong Red Cross aims to nurture an environment of inclusivity for the city's residents suffering from disabilities via its inclusive development platform. The organization hopes to establish a supportive workplace environment in a bid to offer equal job opportunities to such individuals. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Hong Kong still has a long journey ahead before reaching the goal of becoming an inclusive and tolerant society for the disabled community, with the employment rate for disabled individuals currently at just around 20%. Hoping to speed up the effort, the Hong Kong Red Cross, or HKRC, hosted the opening ceremony for the Inclusive Development Platform earlier today. Bonnie So, Secretary General of the HKRC, stressed that her organization has already begun hiring disabled individuals to assist in designated jobs to improve their future employment and working conditions.
Hong Kong Red Cross has been promoting inclusion for years. Since 2019, we started the summer program for the disabled children. So we have special schools in Hong Kong, and then we recruit them to work in our organization. We've gone through normal interview procedures. We select those people they are suitable working in our organization. So we will assign them according to their ability.
Besides granting workplace opportunities to the disabled community, the HKRC also displayed products designed by such individuals at its headquarters. HKRC staff, such as Henry, who suffers from cerebral palsy, said his employment there gave him a new shot at his career and wanted to share a message to the whole city.
In the record shop, my role is an administrative assistant. In our shop, we emphasize a lot on communications, and I think when my colleagues enter to the industry of disability employment, I think this platform can provide a good example for them to knowing how to communicate with my bosses. Please be patient and please place more understanding for us.
Speakers at the event said the community needs to place more hope in the abilities of disabled residents, adding that many of them are already representing Hong Kong in sports and in academia. This as the Hong Kong Red Cross also emphasized the need for more communication between able-bodied residents and disabled citizens. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Kevin Yeung traveled to Sichuan today to discuss matters related to the gift of 2 giant pandas from the central government to Hong Kong. Yeung and representatives from Ocean Park departed the city for Sichuan this morning. They will attend a signing ceremony of the cooperation agreement on the gift of the 2 giant pandas. During Chief Executive John Lee's visit in Sichuan last month, a pair of pandas aged between 5 and 8 were chosen as a present by the central government for the SAR. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.